Are you okay? I found a pregnant woman on the side of the road, hunched over and breathing heavily through her shoulders. She was visibly in pain, her forehead sweaty and her hand gripping a handkerchief tightly. She said she was due soon, so I immediately called an ambulance and anxiously waited for its arrival. Could you contact my husband for me? She handed me her phone, looking apologetic. What? The moment I saw the screen, my mind went blank from the shock. I had just uncovered a secret about someone I never knew had one. My name is Kathy, and I'm 30 years old. I've been working as a caregiver since graduating from college. I married Kurt, a banker 2 years my senior, 10 months ago, after living together for about 2.5 years. We didn't have a wedding ceremony, just took some commemorative photos, respecting my husband's wishes. We live in an apartment that's under my name. I feel happy seeing my husband enjoy the meals I cook and when I'm doing his laundry. One evening, I found a woman in pain on the side of the road. I called an ambulance right away because she said she was due soon. Could you contact my husband? She handed me her phone while enduring the pain. The name Kurt was displayed on the screen, and it was the same as my husband's. I called her husband, feeling puzzled. Hello? Hi, your wife asked me to call you. She seems to be going into labor. Thank you. Is she okay? Yes, the ambulance should be here soon. The voice on the phone was unmistakably my husband, Kurt. He thanked me multiple times, not realizing it was me. After hanging up, I was confused but pretended to be calm. I can't say, but I'm worried. Could you give me your contact information? She immediately gave me her phone number. My name is Lily Moat. What's yours? Hearing her share the same family name as my husband, I was even more shaken. This family name is rare, so I was convinced that the pregnant woman's husband was my husband. I gave her my mother's maiden name, Highland, pretending to be someone else. After making sure she got into the ambulance, I returned home. My husband wasn't there, although he usually would be by this time. I tried to call him but couldn't get through. Soon after, I received a message from him. Sorry, I'm still at work. I'll be late. I knew something was off. It didn't seem like the pregnant woman was lying, so what on earth was going on? I sorted out my confused mind, but my suspicions about my husband only grew stronger. That night, he didn't come home and didn't respond to my messages. I'm drinking with my boss and colleagues at his house. It's going late, so I'll stay here tonight. With that, my husband abruptly hung up the phone. I know he's really at the hospital. Each lie made it harder for me to trust my husband, and I felt miserable. That night, he didn't come home and he didn't respond to my messages. This had never happened before. Doubts about my husband, whom I had never questioned before, suddenly flooded my mind. I'll uncover all your secrets. The next day, I had a day off, so I went to his supposed workplace, a bank. He was nowhere to be found. I asked a woman at the counter and she said, "No employee by that name works here." But he said he worked here. I left the bank, stunned. That night, my husband came home with my favorite cake. Sorry I couldn't come home yesterday. My boss was really persistent. It's okay, work commitments can be tough. I'm so glad I married you, Kathy. You understand. His words made my face tense up involuntarily. Even as I began eating the cake he bought to cheer me up, it didn't taste good. I snooped through his bag while he was showering and found his business card. It listed a construction company, not a bank. He lied about working at a bank? I was too shocked to think and just stared at the card. How could my husband, who always seemed so kind, lie so blatantly? I wanted to confront him right away, but decided to gather more evidence. The next day, I called the construction company pretending to be a business associate. The woman on the phone said, "He's on paid leave. His wife just gave birth." I felt suffocated. What does that mean? I'm his wife. After hanging up, my hands were still shaking. I had no close friends to ask for more information. Aha! I thought of checking official records and headed to the city office. I'll find out the truth. But the woman at the counter said, "You can't get those records unless you're family." I checked my own records and found my maiden name still listed. So legally, I'm single? The reality was too shocking. I felt weak and my heart raced. Then I remember the day we filed our marriage certificate. I wanted to submit the marriage certificate with him, but he was particular about the date we started dating. I had been busy at work and had entrusted my husband with filing it. I can't believe he didn't file it. I felt pathetic for believing him and furious at him. Then I called Lily, the pregnant woman. "Hello, this is Highland, who called the ambulance for you. Congratulations on your baby." "Thank you, but how did you know?" Lily's surprised voice comes from the other end of the phone. "I heard from my husband's workplace. Is he there now?" "No, he's not." "Can I come talk to you? I have something important to discuss." Lily, unaware of the situation, agreed, and I visited her hospital room. In a spacious private room, a cute baby was sleeping peacefully in a small crib. Actually, I'm also Kurt's wife. Lily gasped at my sudden revelation. "What do you mean?" I told her that I had been living with my husband for about 2.5 years and thought we were married for the last 10 months. But it turns out we never filed our marriage certificate. I told Lily everything, including how my husband had lied about his workplace. At first, she looked skeptical, but when I showed her a photo from our wedding, she burst into tears. After calming down, she began to share her story with Kurt. They had been married for 5 years, living with her parents, and he was a good husband who came home early to help with chores. But about 3 years ago, he started taking more business trips and didn't change his habits even when she became pregnant. He was there for the birth but hadn't visited her in the hospital since. "Recently, he's been acting strange and not answering my calls. I had no idea he was doing something like this. I'm sorry." I felt sorry for Lily. Her eyes reddened, choked up, and my anger towards my husband grew. "Don't apologize. I didn't know Kurt was married to you either. I'm sorry for causing you pain. It's all Kurt's fault." When I said that, Lily nodded strongly. Listening to her, it seemed everything I knew about him, except his name, was a lie. My regret and anger grew uncontrollably. Aha! I came up with a plan and proposed it to Lily. "That's a great idea. I'll help." From that day, Lily and I communicated multiple times a day. We shared when Kurt came home, when he left, and even the contents of our calls and messages with him. Unaware, Kurt continued his selfish lifestyle, lying to both of us. His nightly, "I love you," used to make me happy, but now it just gave me chills. As days passed, my affection for Kurt cooled, and I began to find him repulsive. Finally, we decided to execute our plan on his birthday. I rented a private room at a restaurant owned by an acquaintance. Lily lured Kurt there, saying they were celebrating. I waited in the room next door, preparing for the birthday party. "He's just arrived. Let's make this a fun party." After receiving Lily's messages, I heard lively voices. Not only were Lily's parents there, but also Kurt's, whom he had claimed were no longer alive. I heard Kurt's surprised voice from the next room. You don't have to go to all this trouble. I wanted everyone to celebrate together. Plus, we can introduce our son. Fair enough. Despite his words, Kurt sounded pleased. Let's toast. Kurt, why don't you say a few words? I'm not good at this. His shy voice drew laughter from the crowd. Thank you for gathering for my 38th birthday. With the birth of my son, I'll work harder not just as a husband, but also as a father. Cheers. The sound of clinking glasses filled the room. Then the door opened and crackers popped, followed by a chorus of congratulations. I had also invited his co-workers for a surprise. His voice sounded surprised but happy. The biggest surprise is coming. Just wait. Haha. I lit the candles on the birthday cake I had prepared. As the room filled with cheerful chatter, the lights suddenly went out, and Happy Birthday to You began to play. Guided by the faint candlelight, I slowly approached Kurt and placed the cake on the table. Who's that? Instead of looking at the cake, Kurt squinted at me. Kurt, happy 38th birthday! Now blow out the candles! Urged by Lily, he blew out the candles. Applause erupted, and the lights came back on. At that moment, our eyes met. He jumped up as if he had seen a ghost. Why are you here? I came to celebrate your birthday. Isn't it natural for a wife to celebrate her husband? As I said this with a smile, his face turned pale, and the room fell silent. Wait, what's going on? Really? We should be the ones asking that, right? Exactly. Lily nodded in agreement with me. Realizing we were in cahoots, Kurt's eyes widened and his mouth opened and closed in disbelief. Kurt, explain yourself. To us and to everyone here. He tried to escape but found my parents standing guard at the door. Seeing them, he stumbled and fell on his butt. Mom, Dad, you have no right to call us that. Don't even think about running away. Dragged back by my father, Kurt stood before everyone, tears in his eyes. My father-in-law grabbed him by the collar, demanding an explanation, while my mother-in-law cried. The crowd began to murmur as they grasped the situation. Kurt, showered in cold stares, remained silent. Finally, I confronted him. You said you'd show the marriage certificate, but you never did. You were already married to her, so you couldn't, could you? Not just that, everything you told me was a lie. I couldn't choose between you and Lily, so I kept both. You've got to be kidding. Kurt tried to explain, but his words were incomprehensible. Then Lily, who had been quiet, spoke up. What do you want to do now? I have a newborn son. I want to continue as we have been. Don't joke. You can't use our child as an excuse to choose me now. Lily presented him with completed divorce papers. He pleaded tearfully to stay with his child, but she refused. Then he turned to me. Kathy, let's start over. I'll file for divorce and we can get married. Like I would ever say yes. Please, Kathy. No, the man I married isn't you. I don't know you. I swear I'll never do this again. I can't trust you. He had no comeback and began to cry. I'll be seeking $20,000 in damages. Make sure you pay. Kurt looked away and finally agreed to pay as he felt the cold stares from everyone. His coworkers left without a word, clearly disappointed. Surrounded by our families, Kurt apologized profusely, but no one forgave him. Lily and I exchanged a knowing smile at his pathetic state. Later, Kurt came to my house and rang the doorbell for a while, but I ignored him and he left. Lily filed for divorce, seeking $30,000 in damages and $1,000 a month in child support. Kurt resigned from his job as the story spread, and even his parents disowned him. With no one to turn to, he took multiple part-time jobs to pay the damages while living in capsule hotels. As for me, I found more fulfillment in my job as a caregiver, now able to work night shifts. Lily and I became good friends, and visiting her home to hold her son has become my greatest joy.